Hey guys, I know it's been a while since I've made a video, but I figured I'd make this one really quickly. It's something that I feel like is important as somebody who, loves video games overall. Obviously I made a channel mainly dedicated to talking about them and reviewing them. But also talking about something that I feel needs to be talked about more. There have been people that have talked about it in length and in depth, and I might even link some of their videos down below if you want to see other things and hear other things and other sides of certain stories and stuff like that. But I at least wanted to make sure that I got the majority of this story kind of talked about and put out there for people that are within my own inner circle, ones that might not have seen some of these other videos and stuff like that, and at least say that I'm adding my voice to it and trying to sit there and say that I'm backing, obviously, the people who have been hurt and have been, doing the accusing and trying to show that I not only believe you guys, but I'm trying to support you guys as best as I can, the best way I know possible. Obviously, the title should say it all. Let's go ahead and dive into it, and let's talk about how Ubisoft has a history of abuse and what we need to do about it. So, July 11th, 2020, the day before Ubisoft's Forward event, 3 big people went ahead and left the company. Chief Creative Sergey Hassad, or whatever. I'm going to slaughter most of these names, by the way, because most of them will have like a French type of pronunciation, so I'm going to fuck them up, so just bear with me on that. Global Head of HR, Cecile Cornett, and of course Managing Director, Yanis Mallet. Now, what is it that they did? Now, why is it that they're leaving? Why are we talking about this in the first place? Well, we actually have to rewind back to about middle to end of June. It was like about June 22nd or something like that, 23rd. And articles started coming out talking about how there was abuse at Ubisoft Studios, and I think it was also at Insomniac Studios, and talking about how there was this history of just like I said, abuse, sexual misconduct, stuff like that. Some really, really gross stuff that makes your stomach turn a bit, right? But then it started coming out more and more that it wasn't just 1 or 2 people, but it was a big mess of people. And as allegations started pouring out, there was kind of like a second Me Too movement with Twitch streamers and other influencers, as well as people at studios and stuff like that, talking about, hey, these people did this to me, and hey, these people have done this to me, and having these... Twitter was on fire, I remember, and it was interesting, because I don't think, obviously, it was the sole reason, but I know that was definitely the spark. But obviously, with all the protests, with the George Floyd murder happening in the beginning of June, all of this started just avalanching and just coming out. And I'm glad that it is, don't get me wrong. But obviously, if 2020 didn't need any other reason to be a giant piece of shit, here we go. I think it was, like I said, I think it was June 22nd. There was a couple people that were released. Max May, I believe it was, and then Tommy, Francois, or something along the lines of that. Those were 2 higher-ups in the Ubisoft inner circle, and they were let go as an external investigation had come in to play and was trying to kind of sort through the allegations and whatnot. And oh boy, I hope they brought their dive suits, because apparently there was a ocean full of this shit. But anyway, so as they went ahead and they went through their external investigation, we fast forward back up to July 11th. These 3 higher-ups weren't released or fired or let go in any way, shape, or form. No, they were able to leave on their own accord. But why is it that they left? Why is it they felt like they needed to step down? Well, they left the company because of everything ranging from sexual misconduct, inappropriate touching, even things like racial slurs, misogynistic remarks and comments, even things like as horrible as rape. Okay, it showed that Ubisoft was absolutely rotten to its core, and these 3 people were able to just walk away into the sunset. But what was it that some of these people had done? Well, talking about Maxime and Tommy here for a second to get us started down this trend. Apparently Maxime likes to choke women in drunken fits of rage, which I don't think I need to say much more about that one. and Tommy here liked to go ahead and touch women inappropriately and make remarks and ask them for dates and sex in front of coworkers, which is vomit-inducing, for sure. And then finally, the big one, and this is, I think, if I remember correctly, this is the one that kind of sparked everything, was brand manager Adrian. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last fucking name, dude. He went ahead and was accused of everything from manipulation to emotional abuse, and even as far as rape. This guy is disgusting. He was outed by Twitch streamers and influencers who had come out and said, yeah, he was inappropriate with me too, backing up, these women who have said, yeah, he's done some really gross shit at Ubisoft. Once again, he was able to just kind of walk away from it all, somehow unscathed, even though he's done some of the most abuse. There's only one person who did more, and we'll get to him in a second. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Sergey. But I'm sure you see what the problem is, right? That Ubisoft has this long, dark history. A company that's been around for, 30 plus years or so, and has this long history of just disgusting, dark, shady shit that has been going on and has been swept under the rug for as long as it possibly could, until finally there was just too much and it just all came spilling back out. These people in a higher power that have somehow stayed with this company for, some of them decades, even though they obviously did disgusting shit. And it doesn't just stop at one or two of the branches. It's so ingrained into the company that it actually is in every single branch, from the Toronto branch all the way to, and I didn't even know they even had one, a Bulgarian branch called Ubisoft Sofia. Apparently, Ubisoft Sofia is well known for having, what was it again? Oh, a culture steeped in racism and homophobia. Fucking yikes. Honestly, let's face it, Ubisoft protects abusers. And it's not just Ubisoft, don't get me wrong. Today it's Ubisoft, tomorrow it'll be somebody else. But the point is we still need to call it out. And I guess that's the big reason why I'm even having this video, because we need to do a better job of calling this kind of shit out. Because when I see articles like this one, where it talks about Sergey in somehow a positive light, and Sergey, yes, that one, the one that I said I'd get back to in a second, and the one that is the chief creative, yeah, this guy, while this article talks about him being, the creative mind and using all these positive terms and shit, it turns out Sergey liked to drug women, and it wasn't just one. No, that was plural, baby. He liked to drug multiple women. He liked to throw around racial slurs, and he used to like to say misogynistic shit that's so disgusting, I don't want to repeat it on this channel. I do not. I know Jim Sterling did a really great video. It's a really great deep dive that I'll have a link down below if you want to go check out his videos, talking about some of the stuff that he said. Some of the stuff that he said, I wouldn't even feel comfortable saying to a significant other. I wouldn't feel comfortable saying to the boys, okay? I wouldn't feel comfortable saying to anyone. And he said it to a female in front of coworkers, and it's so gross, it's rage-inducing, okay? And Sergey has done a lot of other shit, stuff that hasn't even been talked about yet, and I'm sure will come out in the months to come, and I hope it does. It deserves to come out. It deserves to be talked about. He's disgusting, and the reality is he got to walk away. After all of this, after being the bad guy, he somehow comes out clean and untouched. Not even Thanos got away with that. I guess if you're a misogynistic POS who likes to use racial slurs in 2020, and likes to drug women and likes to sit there and thrive in sexual misconduct and inappropriate shit, that I don't think you get to get away with just, getting right off into the fucking sunset, okay? The only one that really didn't technically do anything in this group was Cornette, but really, let's face it, when you're the global head of HR, and I'm sure you heard all these hundreds and hundreds of complaints, and all you did was shuffle people around, I'm pretty sure that's a good enough reason to be fired, and yet obviously they got to go ahead and leave on their own 2 feet as well, rather than getting kicked out, boot in the ass like they fucking should have been. And that's really the biggest shame that should be happening with Ubisoft right now. Ubisoft had their Forward event on July 12th, and all they did was have this tiny little message. This message right here, this one, they had that, in front of their video because apparently they couldn't edit videos in time. They couldn't, they pre-record everything and edit it all together, and apparently they couldn't edit. If you guys need any help editing videos, you can call me. I'm kind of shitty at it, but at least I can do it. Rather than giving us some excuse from 2005, I don't even know how to edit videos. Freaking idiots. And that was it. And it was a vague message on purpose. They gave this vague message so that way fans don't go and question and be like, well, what is it that they're talking about? They'll just be like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. It seems like they care. That was it. They left this vague, stupid message to the people who are not in the in, and who haven't said, or haven't read, or haven't heard any of these stories. Like I had the misfortune of doing, having to read through article after article, talking about all the gross shit these guys have done. They get to just sit there and be like, oh, okay, whatever, and just shrug about it. And I guess what's also disheartening is throughout most of that event, fans were just kind of like, yeah, whatever, I don't care what was happened or who's accused of what or whatever was going on. Let's get to the games, baby, come on, that's what we're here for. And it's sad because as fans, if anything, we need to make sure we hold these companies to higher standards. Yeah, I get you want your game to come out, you want your toy to come out, you want your things to come out, but at what price? You know, these women are human beings. And the men, too, that were also wrapped up in it as well. They're all human beings. And they deserve to be treated with fucking respect. And the fact that you just don't care, you're like, whatever, it doesn't fucking affect me, is gross. You should be ashamed of yourself, too, if you do not care. If you want to continue supporting a company that obviously hasn't cared for 30 fucking years, under the leadership, the same leadership, by the way, it's not like they've changed heads and somebody just missed it and didn't get the fucking memo. Yves, he's Ubisoft. He is Ubisoft. His family and everything, he's been tied in Ubisoft for 30 years. He is Ubisoft. Most of these people were his buddies. Most of them were his friends. There's no way that he went ahead and skated by for all these years, these decades, and didn't hear any of these complaints. They didn't somehow wind up on his desk even one time. My ass cheeks. You were either the dumbest man on the planet, or you're a fucking liar. And I don't like calling people fucking liars. I don't. But it's gross that you went ahead and sat by and let this kind of shit happen and let multiple people get hurt and just let this revolving door happen. You helped end careers of women who were probably very fucking talented, but they felt like they had nowhere to go. They had nothing they could do, nothing to bring to the table. Had careers stopped by these people who were in power, who were like, well, if you're not gonna suck my dick, you're not getting that raise, and that's bullshit. It's gross, it's disgusting, and it shouldn't be in this industry anymore. It shouldn't be in any industry anymore, and yet it still fucking thrives today. Because fans constantly let it fucking slide, and you shouldn't. You hear stories about it, you should dig into it, and you should do more about it. You know, and I guess that's the biggest thing too is, you know, games need to fucking sell. Right? You know, Ubisoft had a really down year last year. They pushed a bunch of games back. So that's the other big reason, too, why they're sweeping under the rug. They had a really bad down year. Now is not the time to be talking about sexual allegations. Or talking about, you know, rape allegations or drugging allegations or any of these other bullshit, right? So, of course, they're going to fucking play dumb about it until you have to drag them out, okay? And make them admit to what they've done. But that's why we need to do it. We need to hold them accountable. For the people who have been hurt and the people who could continue getting hurt if you just let it continue going on. And I guess that's the biggest reason why I'm even making this video is because while there are a few good games journalists and good, you know, and good sites that go ahead and talk about this kind of shit, you know, Kotaku's still got some good writers in there who do some good shit, investigative shit. Games Industry Biz has dropped some really great articles over the years. And of course there's Jason Schreier, who's now with Bloomberg. You know, there are some great people who go ahead and do some great stuff, but they're far outnumbered by the people who let people like Yves skate by with his garbage answers about why he didn't realize there was sexual misconduct happening at his fucking company, okay? And letting these gross-ass human beings continue doing the gross shit that they are doing just so that way they can continue getting press access. You know, games journalists are failing us as the consumers because, and that's the reason why I've got a fucking channel in the first place. The reason why I made a channel in the first place is because the IGNs of the world and the Games Radars and the, some of these other ones that are out there, they haven't done a good job. Whether it's with their reviews, where they get a new person in to review a game, a yearly game every year, like Madden, giving it 9s and 10s and 8s and stuff like that, or the fact that they just don't do any investigative journalism and really uncover this BS that's going on. And mainstream media has the same damn problem. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to sit there and talk about gross stuff like this, happening at other companies, because if they go ahead and call out the military-industrial complex for bombing hundreds of thousands of innocent brown people, they stop getting money for their fucking company. CNN and MSNBC and Fox News, all these ones are all in it together. Yeah, they might represent this party or that party, but they're all the same. The reason why they don't talk about legitimate issues in this country is because they don't want to rock the boat, baby. And a lot of journalists in the games industry don't want to either. That's why you get so much better stuff and, really good investigative pieces from more independent people, like a Jim Sterling, like, a Jason Schreier, who had to leave Kotaku to go to Bloomberg for greener pastures, and and for some other people too that have had to go ahead and start YouTube channels, or to leave certain industries just so they can talk about what had happened. So really, that's the biggest reason why I want to make this video is obviously, yes, I want to get the information out there. If there's as more information comes out, I'll probably try to find a little time to make another little quick video just to talk about stuff. But I wanted to catch anybody else who hasn't heard about the stuff. I wanted to catch them up, and I wanted to talk about it. And I might even write articles about it too, just because those are quicker to type out real quick, and it gives me an excuse to continue using my blog too. That's, like I said, that's why we as fans, or we as, as gamers, we need to do better. Because, like I said, the journalists aren't doing well enough, and obviously there's no union to protect these people. And their HR department, and don't get me wrong, it's not just gaming HR departments, all HR departments do not give a fuck about the people, okay? They don't. They care. The HR department is just an extension of the company. They're there to protect the company. They always have been, they always will be. Hell, the place that I worked at for 9 years, I heard some gross stuff. People of color, women of color, were trying to get in higher positions and were more than qualified to get in those positions, and were constantly denied, or constantly pushed back down, or constantly pushed out of the company itself because they didn't want them. Not just the company, but other people who are in power. Like, I don't want them. I don't want them. I don't want this person of color. I don't want that woman of color. I don't want that woman in general. And they're still there. They're still at that company in super high positions and well respected. Why? Because they could get a few things right while stifling other people, and treating them like garbage. And it's why it's on us to make sure that we call that kind of stuff out, because the victims here need it. They need us to back them up, and they need us to do and be better. We can no longer let people like Sergey, or Adrian, or Tommy, or Maximine just ride off into the sunset, ride off into the night. No more can we just let them get away with the things that they've done, and maybe even bounce off to another job as if nothing even happened. We need to make sure that we hold them to the fire, and we hold them responsible for the things that they have done.